Welcome in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton coming to you here on this Friday. It is Friday, and boy, are we excited. Glad to be here with you. Mo, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Just ready for the weekend. Not that it's going to be any change because both my Saturday and Sunday are a little busy. So.
Ironically, this time of year with baseball.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about some of that here in the next little bit. But yeah, a couple of baseball events that I'm going to try to get to, and kind of excited about that. It should be fun, both of them. So looking forward to that. And obviously I won't see it because I'll be officiating in the morning, Chris. But obviously a big 11 o'clock Southeastern Conference matchup tomorrow between the Cats and Vols, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that later in the show as well. So big weekend.
That's right. We have Jeff Drummond of Cats Illustrated. He's going to join us to talk Kentucky, Tennessee, and former major leaguer, 18-year veteran of the league. David Weathers is scheduled to join us as well. So we've got all of that coming your way. And much, much more. We'll talk Titans. We'll make our Super Bowl picks. That's going to be. You want to know who not to bet on? Just watch that segment.
There we go.
We got you. We got you covered.
Yeah.
So, as Mo said yesterday, I asked him. I said, "Should we do that?" And Justin, he said, "Well, we've been wrong all year on college. We might as well keep going with the pros."
Yeah, be wrong on that too. Yep.
No reason not to.
Been doing it.
Yeah. Why stop now?
Exactly.
But yeah, we're looking forward to a good show, and we are excited about it. We've got a lot to get to, but before we do anything else, we of course have to give you yesterday's results and the weekend's upcoming schedule, and we'll do that on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
High school girls basketball action last night. Clarksville Academy 59-51 over Donaldson Christian. It was Hillsboro 54, East Nashville 30. Ezo Harding and 54-39 winners over Davidson Academy. It was Franklin Road Christian 64, FC Boyd 48. Green Hill 43-39 winners over Brentwood, and St. Cecilia took care of Merrill Hyde 51-41. In boys action, it was Clarksville Academy 83, Donaldson Christian 44. East Nashville in a big one. Huge game last night. 51-44 winners over Hillsboro. Davidson Academy 84-75 over Ezo Harding. It was Brentwood 34, Green Hill 33, and Nashville Christian 63, Harpeth 47.
In women's basketball action on Thursday, it was Austin Peay with a 47-43 win over Jacksonville State. Tennessee State defeated UT Martin 71-67. Kennesaw State with a 71-53 win over Lipscomb. Tennessee overcame a slow start and defeated Texas A&M in College Station 62-50. It was Trevecca 71, Tiffin 64. Sorry, Jody. Thomas More with a 65-60 win over Cumberland, and UT Southern's women with a 70-67 win over Wilberforce. In men's action, Lipscomb defeated Austin Peay 87-65. UT Martin with a 77-66 win over Tennessee State. Tiffin down Trevecca 73-50. Cumberland with a 78-75 win over Thomas More, and UT Southern 97, Wilberforce 65. On the ice, suddenly the Predators are skidding following a 4-3 loss at Montreal. It's their second straight, but it was the second of back-to-backs for the Predators.
Yeah, and Yaroslav Askarov's
good job
debut. Yeah, well, Max Hers put the pronunciation on Twitter. So
clutch.
That was very helpful. But his
debut
did not go well, and it wasn't much his fault, but that's neither here nor there.
That happens.
The Preds did their usual let the other team play with the puck half the time, or more than half, actually. So tonight in doubleheader action at 6 p.m., these are girls first, boys to follow. Laverne at Antioch, Blackman hosting Oakland, Ainsworth is at Brentwood Academy, and Watertown goes to Cannon County. Clarksville is at Clarksville Christian, and Rossview's at Northeast. It's Columbia Central at home against Ravenwood, and Eagleville's at Cornersville. Creekwood's at home against Greenbrier. Davidson Academy hosting Good Pasture, and Donaldson Christian at home again against Nashville Christian. Lead Academy's at East Nashville, and Cheatham County goes to Fairview. Centennial and Franklin, big one tonight. It's not Centennial and Franklin tonight. It's who is it, Mo?
That's Centennial and Franklin.
Yeah, but it's
jerseys. They'll both be wearing jerseys from Natchez High School.
That's right. Natchez Inner Squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So that's going to be big. And if you want to see Mo, he'll be there. Go say hey. Battleground Academy is at Franklin Road Academy, and Friendship Christian's at home against Clarksville Academy. Webb School goes to Grace Franklin, and Culleoka's at Hampshire. Beach is at Hendersonville. Henry County at home against Northwest. Hume Fogg hosting Hillwood. Nolansville and Independence Knowledge Academy is at Joe Burns. Brentwood at John Overton. Dixon County at Kenwood, and Kip Nashville at home against Whites Creek.
Oh, where am I? Sorry about that. I was on another screen. Also, Lincoln County is at Lawrence County in a big 3A matchup, 6 o'clock start. Cookville is at Lebanon. Giles County is at Lewis County. Father Ryan goes to Lipscomb Academy. Martin Luther King hosts Glencliff. McGavock takes on visiting Hunters Lane. University School of Nashville is at Middle Tennessee Christian. Loretto is at Mount Pleasant. Liberty Creek goes to Portland. Columbia Academy visits Providence Christian. Riverdale hosts Rockvale. Santa Fe takes on visiting Richland. Summit is at Siegel. Cane Ridge goes to Smyrna. West Creek is at Springfield. Page comes to Spring Hill. Gallatin plays at Station Camp. Trousdale County's at STEM Academy. Stratford hosts Republic. Warren County hosts Stewart's Creek. Smith County is at Westmoreland. Sycamore goes to White House Heritage. Mount Juliet is at Wilson Central, and Franklin Christian is at Zion Christian. All those are double headers, all starting at 6 o'clock with the girls. On Saturday, Laverne is at Cane Ridge. Lauderdale County is at Loretto, and I think that's actually a 5 o'clock start in conjunction with the baseball event that we'll be talking about in a second. And Lighthouse Christian of Antioch is at Marshall County, and that's a 6 o'clock start.
Girls basketball only tonight. Pope Prep at Harpeth Hall, 5:30. Tomorrow, Madison Academy of Alabama will take on Summertown at 3 o'clock. Don't know where. Hutchison School is at Stewart's Creek at 4:30. Lakeway Christian is at Lebanon at 5:30. York Institute and Page at 5:30. Not sure where. And Collierville, Ezo Harding, also location unknown, at 6:30 p.m. Boys basketball only tonight. Curry Ingram is at Jonathan Edwards Classical at 5:30, and Pope Prep is at Montgomery Bell Academy at 7:30. Tomorrow, boys only action. Warren Central Kentucky and Lebanon at 4:30. Location unknown. I think it's actually at Greenwood. because at 7:30 CPA will be at Greenwood and Bowling Green is playing Pope Prep. I think there's a tournament up there somewhere. Pearl Cone is at NBA tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Green Hill and Innsworth at 7 and Hillsboro Good Pasture at 7:30. Those two locations also unknown.
College basketball doubleheader action this weekend. Tonight or this evening, depending on what you consider 5 o'clock to be. Southern New Orleans is at Fisk. Saturday doubleheader action. Trevecca is at Findlay at 12 noon. At 1 o'clock, Thomas More is at UT Southern. Wilberforce goes to Cumberland for a 1 o'clock start as well. Tennessee Tech hosts Tennessee State at 1 o'clock. That can be seen on ESPN Plus. And Tougaloo is at Fisk tomorrow at 5 o'clock in doubleheader action. Junior college play tomorrow. Ball State is at Walters. That's a 1 o'clock start. And at 2, Columbia State goes to MIT, Motlow in Tullahoma. On Sunday, Alandra Smith is at Fisk. Start time undetermined.
Yeah, Fisk is playing 3 in a row, so
wow,
that's rough.
And we talked about the Preds and they're back-to-back, huh?
Yeah. Women's basketball action on Saturday. Thomas More, number 1 in the country, at UT Southern at 1 o'clock. Jacksonville State's at Lipscomb. That's a 1:30 tip on ESPN Plus. At 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus, Austin Peay welcomes Kennesaw State. On Sunday, Tennessee is at home against Georgia. That's a noon tip on SEC Network. And Illinois State is at Belmont at 2 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Men's basketball action on Saturday. We just mentioned it. Kentucky's at Tennessee. That's 11 a.m. Central tip on ESPN. On ESPNU, Vanderbilt hosting Arkansas at Memorial. That's a 1 p.m. tip. LSU's at Alabama at 3 o'clock. I don't know why I put that in there. But in case you care, Alabama's playing LSU at 3 o'clock on ESPN. Northern Iowa is at Belmont at 4 o'clock on ESPN 3. Austin Peay at Lipscomb at 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Saturday, Grizzlies action. Grizzlies at the Pacers, 6 p.m. on Bally Sports Southeast. And the Predators will be back at home on Saturday to take on Buffalo at 7 p.m. on Bally Sports South. And that is your rundown. Top story today, big news out of the Big Ten as their commissioner has decided to take a new job.
Yeah, that's I don't think that was quite what the Big Ten had in mind when they brought Kevin Warren in, 2 years ago?
Yeah, well, was it just before COVID? I know he was involved. He was in charge during COVID.
Yeah. Okay. So 2-3 years ago, hired by the conference in 2010 after longtime commissioner Jim Delaney, former Ohio Valley Conference commissioner as well. Jim Delaney retired from a role he served in since 1989. So yeah, 2-3 years. Like I said, not nearly as long as they anticipated, I don't believe.
No, a guy who was there for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get 3 out of the next one because he's headed to the Chicago Bears as their president. And so, and you know, Kevin Warren was an NFL guy. So when he came to college, I mean, they had to think that maybe it was possible he could go back, but that's tough.
It is. And Chris, you linked to an article on CBS Sports that kind of kicks the tires on some possible successors to Kevin Warren. And
Barrett Sully has a list of what he calls top options.
And it's interesting that a couple of those top options, he's listed 5, a couple of them come from the electronic media side of things. Burke Magnus, television executive with ESPN, and Mark Silverman, president and COO of Fox Sports. So I guess that kind of tells you where college sports is going to some degree.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about a conference that has a $1.2 billion media rights deal over 7 years with CBS, Fox, and NBC. Would be interesting to see an ESPN guy take off, but I mean, there's that. I would say the most shocking name is Jim Phillips, who's the ACC commissioner, and I mean, I guess I could see. Uh, Again, they say he seems like an unlikely candidate, but he was the clubhouse leader last time until the Big Ten picked Warren. You know, if they wanted, if Phillips wanted it, he probably, could be among the top of the list.
You would think. I mean, he was AD at Northwestern for 13 years before he took over with the ACC, but he's only been with the ACC for a couple of years, looks like. So I don't know. That's interesting. But again, he's got some Big Ten and Midwest ties, so maybe it's not as out of the realm as it might look on its face. 66-year-old Ohio State athletics director Gene Smith is also on this list.
And is also on Nicole Auerbach and Matt Fortuna's list as well, as you see on your screen there. So Gene Smith, 66 years old. I don't know how much sense that makes, Mo. I mean, you're a guy that's leaving after 3 years. You think some continuity would be at least through this particular media rights deal. I mean, in 7 years, he's 73. I guess you could potentially, you could at least negotiate the next deal before you left.
Yeah. I mean, again, 66 coming in behind a guy who was in place for 3 years doesn't necessarily, I mean, it's not at first glance a hire that makes you go, yeah, let's do this. But he's got a lot of familiarity with everybody in the league, given his tenure at Ohio State. He's been there since 05. So maybe his ability to, get everybody on the same page in that conference makes him attractive for whatever amount of time he might be in place.
And the last name on this particular list on CBS Sports, Kerry Kenny, who has served as Senior Vice President of Television, Media Analytics, and Emerging Platforms. Been with the conference for 15 years, Mo. This, in the world that we live in, it's probably not a terrible idea to have a guy like Kerry Kenny, take a position like this, because the fact is that there are two major things that are going to be important over the next 7 years, and that is your TV exposure, and of course, how you deal with NIL and transfer portal stuff like that. So those are the two major things that you're going to deal with. And Kerry obviously has a lot of experience with one.
Well, yeah, and again, he's been in the conference for 15 years, and as you talk about continuity, and I mean, consider the SEC when they went from Mike Slive to Greg Sankey, who was already in the conference office at the time. I mean, it might be a move along those lines. You may not necessarily be familiar with Kerry Kenny's name, but he's been there for 15 years, so obviously he's been doing some good stuff in somebody's eyes.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how it plays out, though. I mean, the Big Ten, again, a lot of folks, I think, is it the Pac-12 that went with a Vegas exec, a casino exec? So, I mean, you just never really know, where Kevin Warren was a late entry into the sweepstakes last time and ended up with the job. So you never know what's going to happen. I mean, these names are fine, but who knows? I mean, if somebody throws their hat in the ring and it's kind of an off the wall, out of the box hire, one, is the Big Ten going to be willing to go outside the box after this last one didn't work out?
Well, I don't know that it didn't work out, though. I mean, he left, but
that's what I mean, though, because you don't want to go outside the box to a guy who might go back to his old gig. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You want somebody who
stays
in, who wants to be in college sports and who has proven that they're going to stay in college sports.
Here's the thing, though. What you have to think about, if you hire somebody that isn't attractive enough to possibly have other options, is that who you want?
I guess it depends.
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, I don't feel like Kevin Warren was a bad hire. I mean, obviously you would like for him to stay, but sometimes people have other opportunities. It is what it is.
no, I don't. Again, I don't disagree that it was a bad hire. I mean, that's not the. It's just the fact that the Big Ten feels like Big Ten commissioner should be
feels like it's
should be a dream job.
Yeah, they should be a destination job.
Right. You shouldn't need another job after you get this one. So,
and I think that maybe says something about something. If not the Big Ten, maybe just the state of college athletics.
there you go.
Because there's a lot going on.
Why did he leave? The NFL is a lot more stable and steady in what your expectations may be, while the college
the
football
NFL
landscape,
is the NFL is the Chicago Bears, maybe not so much.
well, yeah, but you know what to expect league-wide. In college football right now, you don't know what to expect from every other day. Something's changing.
Yeah.
So I can understand him being like, okay, I don't have time to be learning something new every day. Like let's get this thing and do something, let's get this thing kind of rolling on even keel and go back to the NFL. And I don't blame him. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, let's take a break here, and we'll come back as David Weathers will join us on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, to talk about a big event this weekend down in Loretto. So stick around.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton here on this Friday edition, and we've got a fantastic show lined up for you. And we start with Loretto assistant coach and longtime Major League pitcher, David Weathers. David, how's it going, man? He is currently coaching.
David, are we interrupting the middle of practice?
Looks like he's inside that building there, and you'd say, hey, step outside, but it's too cold to do that.
No. We're not encouraging anybody to go outside. No. David, can you hear us?
I think he's working on it. He is.
He did go outside.
This will be a very short interview, David. We won't keep you outside too long.
Well,
no, we just can't hear. He's muted. There he is. We got him unmuted now.
We got him. David, can you hear us?
And okay.
I'm gonna try to get him on by phone there.
Yeah,
okay.
just get him via audio if we can, and we'll go from there. But Anyway, an event this weekend, Mo, I did not see and tried to click that link and it didn't work for me. So
Oh, well,
tell
I'll
us what's
tell you.
up.
I'll tell you what's up. They are calling this the Loretto Mustangs baseball MLB draftees recognition ceremony. Starts at 3:30 down at Loretto High School. And what's cool about this is Loretto has had 9 baseball players sign contracts with Major League Baseball organizations. 8 of those have been since the inception of the MLB draft. The first one was Floyd Van Pelt back in 1930 with the New York Yankees, which obviously was before the draft. But they have had 8 guys drafted out of Loretto High School, as small as it is. And when you think about it, that's a pretty impressive number. And so they are going to be recognizing those folks during a ceremony tomorrow afternoon prior to that Lauderdale County Loretto doubleheader that we mentioned during the rundown. And they're also going to introduce the 2023 Loretto Mustang baseball team. So this is going to be a pretty cool deal for Loretto baseball, and going to try to, hopefully we're going to get David back in to talk a little bit more about that. But it's a pretty big event for them down there.
You don't realize, I mean, I bet there aren't a lot of
sorry to cut you off there. We have David on or Weathers on phone. If y'all want to talk to him, he should be able to hear you.
Great.
Now.
We do want to talk to him. Dave, can you hear us?
Sir, Maurice, I sure can.
Oh, great, man. Hey, I hope you went back inside for this because it's too cold to be standing outside for any period of time. But
well, I could see you guys, and I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Well, again, technology is a beautiful thing.
I apologize.
No, man, it's all good. Like I said, we appreciate you hanging with us. Tell us a little bit more about your event. We started talking about it while Justin was efforting to get you back in, but big event tomorrow down at y'all's place.
Well, what we're doing is at Loretto High School, we've had 9 different players taken in the MLB amateur draft, all the way from 1928 to 2022, and so. We felt like that was very unique, and we wanted to celebrate it. And so we're bringing those guys back. And what we're doing is kind of like our kickoff banquet. It's the first year we've ever had it. But we felt like, it's a unique history because we're such a small school at 400 kids. And I just think it's very neat that we had 9 guys taken in the draft, and we've had 2 that's played Major League Baseball, and Blade Tidwell, who played at Tennessee last year, who went in the second round. He has an excellent shot to make it to the big league. So on top of that, I think we're going to wind up having, 3 guys that's made it to the major league. So I think that's just a unique dynamic to our school, and we just want to celebrate it.
As well, you should. And like you said, it's given the demographics of Loretto to get that many guys into baseball and to get that many guys up to the top level of baseball. It's a pretty neat thought, and it's nice that you guys are recognizing that. Now, obviously, we're speaking to one of those 2 major leaguers. And David, I got to ask you a question, man. 19 years in the bigs. How did you never play for Atlanta?
Well, I'll tell you, I guess whatever I featured, they didn't like. So, but it wasn't from lack of effort. I think it was a unique position because, Atlanta's always been, pretty frugal with their bullpen. And, it's funny. I guess I was just in that range towards the end of my career. They just didn't want to spend that much, I guess, on the 7th and 8th inning guy because, I talked to those guys. We'd go in there and play when I was the Mets. And I was down there campaigning the whole time trying to figure out how I could become an Atlanta Brave. And it just either I pitched good enough that they didn't want to pay me, or I pitched bad enough they didn't think I was worth a nickel. So it just never worked out. But it's something a place I really wanted to play.
Wow, that makes me feel better because I would figure.
And now with Ryan, he was one pick away possibly from being an Atlanta Brave. So there's just something about the Weathers boys that are just not meant to put on the black
Script A.
and white and red. So
The Tomahawk, yeah. Did pitch against him in '96. Thank you very much.
I did, and that was a fun time.
For you.
Well, what was funny about that, Maurice, is we're down in Atlanta at Fulton County, and I'm with the Yankees. And here I am, from 5 Points, Tennessee, which has got about 250 people in Tennessee, and this guy come up waving a rebel flag and said, "Go back to New York, you Yankee." And all I could do was just laugh and say, "Man, you have no idea where I'm from."
Clearly. David West, Loretto assistant baseball coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. David, in addition to the guys that y'all are going to recognize, the draftees, you're also going to introduce your 2023 team under Zach Curtis. And over the past 5, 8, 10 years, Loretto baseball has become, well, and probably even further back than that, obviously, with 9 draftees, it's become a force to be reckoned with. But what are y'all looking forward to out of this upcoming team?
Well, you got a really good team, and we got 3 seniors, 4 juniors, and the rest are sophomore and freshmen. And man, we got probably the back-to-back best freshman classes we've ever had at Loretto. We're as probably deep as we've ever been. Don't know if we have the top-end pitching that we've had in the past, but we're close. We got 2 really, really big arms that are juniors, and then we got a couple of sophomores that are really good pitchers. So, we feel like we have a chance to really compete. AA was a little bit of a jump. You start playing teams that have a little bit bigger athletes, more athletes, but we feel like that we have a team that if we can gel and work them hard and keep working on the fundamentals of the game, that we have a shot to we should get back to where we were last year. And, we were within a couple of innings of pushing another game against Watertown and getting to the state finals. So I feel like we have a shot to get back to that. We definitely have the talent. It's just a matter of the coaches if we don't mess it up.
Yeah. As we mentioned,
Coaches have a way of doing that.
Yeah. You guys want to mention these guys that are going to be recognized tomorrow. Again, Floyd Van Pelt signed with the New York Yankees. Johnny Jones and Johnny Lyles, both drafted in 1967. Jones by the Senators in the first round, Lyles by the Angels in the 16th round. 1988, David Weathers was a third-round selection of the Toronto Blue Jays. In 1997, Stuart Rowling was picked in the 22nd round by the Chicago White Sox. In 2011, Mark Lamb went to the Braves in the 6th round. Clint Wright went to the Braves in the 22nd round. That's Lawrence County baseball coach Clint Wright. Ryan Weathers in the 1st round, 7th overall, David? Is that right?
7th overall pick with the Padres.
7th overall with the Padres in 18. And then, as you mentioned, Blade Tidwell in the 2nd round out of UT to the New York Mets. So that's a group of talent that any high school would be proud to call its own, and all from South Lawrence County. So that's a pretty big deal again. And
David, what makes Loretto so special? I mean, this is insane. Like he just said, South Lawrence County. What makes Loretto so special when it comes to the diamond?
Well, I think a lot of it is there used to be a very strong program down here in St. Joe, which is where we used to play our high school games. They always had, back in the earlier days, they had an independent team, and they traveled all the way around and played. And there were some really, really good players. And a funny story about Johnny Jones, he was part of that group. Loretto High School did not have a team until 1967. And so these guys were playing with that St. Joe team, and Johnny Jones went to a Cleveland Indians tryout, and they tried to sign him on the spot, but he was only 16. He had to wait 2 years, and finally Loretto got a team, and he got drafted in the 1st round. And Johnny Lyles graduated Loretto in 64, went to Bethel, and he got drafted out of Bethel. So that's why they're in the same year but different ages. So, Johnny started it off. He was the Floyd Van Pelt was actually the first guy. And by the way, Floyd won 26 games in the minor leagues one year with a 2.37 ERA. You know, have no idea what happened to his career, but, you know, obviously he had a good season. Then we went, you know, he's still the highest drafted player from Loretto, first round, 5th pick with the Senators. And so Johnny started it all off for the modern era as far as when Loretto High School had a baseball team starting in 1967. And so, and now you fast forward it, when I retired, I took a lot of those boys and we played travel ball and all those kinds of things. And, you know, we've always had really good talent here. And now, just for, you know, me having the experience of playing in college and pro baseball, you understand how to develop a little bit better. And, you know, that's what we've seen here. Man, we've had so many guys go to college as well. So, you know, we've had a nice 10-year run here. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, man. Like I said, we probably got back to back. When you combine those two classes, probably the best freshman classes we've ever had back to back. Ryan, his class was really good as well, but it wasn't back to back like these. So, you know, we're really.
Did I lose you or did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Sorry about that. Should be good now. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
we can. Yeah.
Okay. And so, you know, it's just one of those things where Johnny Jones was in the right place at the right time. They got it started, and now you go to 2022, and Blade Tidwell goes to Tennessee, freshman All-American, and he gets drafted. And before him, Ryan was out of high school and had a ton of accolades. So, you know, once people see that, they kind of want to come to your school as well. And so, you know, we got some really good players. And, you know, the thing about tomorrow night's dinner, you know, it starts at 3:30. We got about 150, 175 tickets sold. You know, we're going to recognize these guys at the dinner, and then we're going to recognize them before the Lauderdale County basketball game. So we're looking to have a big night tomorrow night.
Well, just another recognition, had one recently, just ahead of the Summertown girls game, when your daughter was recognized and they retired her jersey. Got a lot going on down there.
You know, we were very, yeah, we do. And we, you know, that's the one sport that we have had, you know, it's probably our strongest tradition is girls basketball. You know, all the way back, 1958 was the first ever state tournament, and Loretto girls won that one. And, you know, we've been to the state tournament in every decade, and we've had a strong tradition. Carly came here and had a really good career with it, and was twice Miss Basketball. So, you know, very blessed and very, very honored that she got recognized for that the other night.
Well, it certainly is a unique place down there. And if you're watching this and you've not been to Loretto at any point, you should certainly get down there. It is a special and unique place. And obviously, you know, if you're going to Loretto, you got to be going there. You're not going to pass through it more likely. So you might as well just stop by and see a fantastic basketball game or catch a baseball game there as well. But
or a softball game.
Hey, how about that? Third place last year in the state. So
we did. Well, you know, the thing about being at a place like Loretto, the biggest thing you fight to start off with is identity. You know, can we play with the big boys? Can we do this? And so what we did with our baseball team is we scheduled anybody who would play us. We, you know, there's a ton of, and I don't mean any disrespect, but there's a lot of teams that of the bigger schools, they won't play us, you know, and I'm not saying it's because we're going to beat them. It's just, I don't think people want to lose to a lower level team. And so we had trouble getting games, but that's the thing at Loretto we had to change was the mindset. Like, you know, we can compete with anybody if we're willing to outwork them and do the things necessary to get there. And man, we got great kids, great parents that all allow us to coach their kids to be able to be successful.
That's a heck of a phrase right there. Allow us to coach their kids. because you don't
sure.
necessarily find that everywhere. Former major leaguer, Loretto assistant baseball coach David Weather is joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Got a big baseball event tomorrow starting at 3:30. And as you said, David, tickets are still available for that. Is that right?
They are, and they're available to be purchased at the door. We're capping it off at 200. I want to say we're right at 170 right now. We've sold a ton of tickets lately. And like I said, it starts at 3:30, and then we move it over to the gym at 5:10, 5:15 area, and then we recognize them on the floor. And you know, the thing is I think what happens a lot of times is we fail to recognize the ones who built, you know, they had the building blocks for us to have our programs. And so that's another thing is we want to make sure these guys that were here previously in the 60s understand, man, we appreciate all they did for us to make sure that we had a program starting in 67. And, you know, we want them to know that doesn't go unnoticed.
That's awesome. This, by the way, the tickets are for a Rick's Barbecue catered meal. So for those of y'all that like your cue, that's a additional bonus there. So David, we appreciate you coming on with us.
Thanks for having me, Maurice.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
All right.
All right. We will take a break. When we come back, Mo, you asked the question on Facebook. We'll ask it right here. What's up with the rumors and the Titans? And goodness gracious, that folks are asking some really interesting questions that just don't make a whole lot of sense to us. So we'll try to make sense of it on the other side of a break right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stick around.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. That time of year for Titans fans, since they're not in the playoffs and don't have anything to talk about going on this weekend. And I know that's hurting your feelings out there, folks, but it is what it is. And that means the ridiculousness of message board talk and Twitter talk is in full force. Matter of fact, someone said, this is a rumor out there, that the Titans were potentially interested in DeAndre Hopkins. And
no,
I mean, look, if we're gonna, we're gonna go out there and spend AJ Brown money on somebody who's been in the league twice as long as AJ, I guess, whatever. But anyway,
no more veteran receivers on the backside of their career.
Well,
and I was as big a proponent of the Julio Jones acquisition as anybody. It didn't work. Robert Woods isn't working. No more veteran receivers.
Well, the what was that, Justin?
I was just saying, did y'all see the Jalen Ramsey conspiracies now flooding in?
Yeah, I've heard that Jalen Ramsey. Now I'll take.
I had not heard that one.
I'll take Jalen Ramsey. We need all the defensive backs we can get. I mean, if he can play 17 games, I'll take him. But someone asked, don't they need a quarterback? And I said, positions of need are offensive line, wide receiver, and cornerback in that order. And the question was then asked, who actually believes that? Well, it's interesting because Mo, you asked a very similar question on your social media. Folks are talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially and an upgrade at quarterback for the Titans. Is there a need for an upgrade at quarterback if you don't upgrade the offensive line? And it seems like anybody who has any understanding of the game of football agrees with you and I that offensive line is easily the number one priority.
I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be, because again, it's tough to throw the ball from a prone position.
You can't do it.
It's impossible. And so if you don't have folks in front of you that can keep you upright, I don't know how a better, and I don't know what Rodgers' numbers look like this year specifically, but I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers specifically is a better option at quarterback than a healthy Ryan Tannehill. I'm just not. When you consider who he's throwing to and who's protecting him.
That's me. Again, and maybe I'm jaded because of that first year, but Ryan Tannehill is a capable quarterback in this offense when he's protected well enough to and has any kind of wide receiver help. Again, 2 years ago, A.J. Brown played in 13 games out of 17, and that's, 13 is great. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he was on the IR all year, but A.J. had no help. It was A.J. Brown and nobody else.
A.J. Brown, who goes and sets a single season receiving yardage record in his first year at Philadelphia.
And also played 17 games. For those who may say that, and don't get me wrong, no disrespect to anybody who does say this, but if A.J. Brown can play 17 games after being injured last year and the year before that, I'm not sure how much of an excuse buying, previously broken players is for this strength and conditioning staff. And I know Mike Vrabel has made that argument, but the fact is that other teams aren't having this issue, even with players who have been hurt.
With the same players.
So, A.J. Brown played 17 games. So, something's different, and I don't know what it is. That being said, and that, to be honest, that's the number one concern in Tennessee. It's not talent. It's that talent is unavailable.
What's the best availability, Chris?
What's
the best ability is availability. I'm sorry.
That's
I just kicked that all over the place. But
it doesn't matter how good you are up front if all 5 of your starting linemen are on injured reserve. We don't know if Ben Jones is going to come back after 2 concussions. The entire left side of your line is Swiss cheese. Petit Frere can't block anybody who makes an inside move on him. I mean, anybody who thinks that any other position outside of offensive line is the number one priority did not watch the Tennessee Titans, because Ryan Tannehill is capable. Derrick Henry ran for the second most yards in the National Football League this year in 16 games. He didn't even play all 17 games and was running behind an offensive line that was absolutely putrid. He's not lost a step. He's still there. He's still Derrick Henry, 1,500 plus yards in 16 games.
Yeah, I mean, ask that cornerback from Jacksonville if he's still Derrick Henry. Rashawn Jenkins?
I don't remember. All I saw was him flying into the sideline.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I mean, I Aaron Rodgers is the, soup du jour, I guess. I don't know. You said it. I don't know who that has watched this team on any kind of a regular basis that feels like Aaron Rodgers is the answer to everything that's wrong.
Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be the answer.
Nope.
Now, I would not turn down Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't be mad if they went and got him, but you don't have cap space for that.
Well, I mean, it depends on who. It depends on what you would have to give up to go get him.
I mean,
but
yeah, I'm not trading Jeffrey Simmons for him.
Well, and what really motivated me to post that on my Facebook earlier today was something that I saw on Twitter, and I didn't feel like engaging because I don't like engaging with those type folks. But a guy who has been championing bringing in Aaron Rodgers is like, Titans fans, if you said bring in Superman, they would tell you why it's not a good idea. Now, one, comparing Aaron Rodgers to Superman is a heck of a stretch. But two, I mean, just because you're an idiot doesn't mean that folks can't disagree with you. I just don't understand what the fascination is with Aaron Rodgers specifically and with a quarterback in general.
Well, at this point of his career, absolutely not. Obviously, 8-10 years ago, I would have killed to have Aaron Rodgers on my team. But he's because, I mean, athletically, and still he's pretty athletic. He's one of the most gifted quarterbacks to ever play the game. But one, we don't need a quarterback. Two, Aaron Rodgers is certainly not the guy based off his performance this year. I mean, if he was that bad with the Green Bay offensive line, he's not going to be any better with Tennessee's.
You wouldn't think.
So I mean, and his wide receiver group is certainly not any better here than it was there.
No.
So
and Randall Cobb, who's the comparison there?
Robert Woods. And maybe not even Robert Woods, because Robert's probably better.
Take that down.
That is zero chance that's happening.
Take that. Thank you.
Just
Thank
zero.
You.
It's not happening. So let's just stop talking about it.
Please.
I don't care if his kids are enrolled at Montgomery Bell Academy tomorrow.
That seems to be the thing.
I don't care.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the quarterback. And neither is Tom Brady or any other aging quarterback. Mike Vrabel's already said it. We got to get Tannehill healthy. And
then keep him healthy.
He's the guy. And the only way to keep him healthy is completely revamp the offensive line.
Here's the tweet that Jalen put out that makes everybody think he's going to be gone from LA.
He said, if that's the end, I went out with a bang. Oh. I mean, I'll take him.
Oh, yeah, man.
Okay, now here's the question, though. No disrespect to Jalen Ramsey. What is he in this defense?
That. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, is he a nickel? Is he a corner? Is he a safety? What is he?
He's a corner, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's his position, and in this offense, he's by far an upgrade over anybody else that we have.
Yep.
Mainly because Caleb's on the IR and Roger McCreary is good, but he can't guard number ones.
Christian Fulton's he's so hit or miss, man.
And Christian Fulton is potentially always hurt. So heck, I mean, I'd put Jalen Ramsey on this team and ride defensively. Worst pass defense in the league.
And just match him up on ones on and go.
Yeah,
you kind of have to.
Him and Kevin Byard work out in Murfreesboro all the time. Well, when Jalen Ramsey's in town.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with Jalen Ramsey
let's
is,
give
again,
that legs then. I mean,
that deserves more legs than Aaron Rodgers.
without question.
The problem is, once again, salary. Who's reworking their deal to give us some salary cap money? We've got to sign Jeffrey Simmons.
Got to.
Well, how do you fit a salary of a guy who is a literal captain?
Yep, there's a C right there.
I mean, how do you fit him into your under your cap? You can't.
Not without some people reworking some things and some people being gone. And you got to make the right calls as far as that. Which ones are reworking and which ones are gone. I got ideas.
I don't know. I don't know who that's going to be. I mean, we're definitely cutting Taylor Lewan. The $14 million's gone.
You know
now,
what?
Whether he re-signs under another deal, I don't know. But he's getting cut.
That makes all the sense in the world. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I am less and less confident that that is the resolution, Chris.
Well, I mean, until we get
because
a GM,
it's some folks around here that love them some Taylor Lewan.
Yeah, but nobody that matters. We don't even have a GM right now. I know Vrabel does, but the fact is that we all know that he's not worth $14 million.
And never was.
No, I mean, compared to what we had, I'd pay him right now if we could afford it, you know. But the Titans can't afford it, for one, and two, he can't. You know, he hasn't been healthy in 2 years. So he's gonna get a decent deal somewhere. And you know, honestly, I'm not sure that Tennessee is the place for him anyway. Because if I'm looking at these other folks who are not having injury issues, I might try someplace else, just see what happens. Go to Detroit, go back to Michigan, go protect Jared Goff.
Yeah, that should be fun.
You're indoors, all kinds of great stuff.
Now, to be fair, he played at Michigan. He's from Arizona, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Arizona might not be a bad place.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, heck of a way to ride.
Depends on who they hire, I guess. Yeah. So
heck of a way to ride off into the sunset out there.
There's worse places to be.
There are. Someone on Twitter was asking, you know, if GM candidates were getting turned off by the fact that Mike Vrabel will have at least some say in personnel decisions. And I got a feeling like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Not to me. I mean, why shouldn't he have some input? I mean, you know.
And wouldn't you want him to?
You go back to the Bill Parcells thing. I mean, unless you're just power hungry and it's a team sport, shouldn't it be a team sport in terms of gathering the team?
Well, I just feel like my biggest thing is I need to know what your mindset is as a coach.
Mm-hmm. So that I can get you the players that you can be most successful with.
Right. Otherwise, neither one of us are going to have a job in 5 years.
3.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Ian Cunningham and Rand Carthon both scheduled to interview today, according to that Mike Herndon tweet there, and then Quentin Harris of the Cardinals tomorrow. Again, we ask, well, why would you interview someone from the Bears? But
or the
honestly,
Cardinals.
I don't love any of those options. I mean, Rand Carthon is fine, but I don't know. Go back to what Mike DeGar said yesterday, and that seems to be a Kyle Shanahan thing. It doesn't matter who he's got out there; he's going to be successful. So, I don't know.
I don't understand why Louis Riddick doesn't have any more traction, I guess. Director of pro personnel for the Redskins, director of pro personnel for the Eagles before joining ESPN. Supposedly was in the mix with both the Texans and the Lions back in 2020 and was interviewed by the Steelers in February of this past year. So
it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because he's just been out of the games for 10 years at this point, potentially. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's a good question. There's a lot of folks out there who I would like to see get a shot at it, but at this point, we just got to get one. And I don't want to be in a situation where, we're in an Auburn situation where we end up with a Brian Harsin because everybody else has said no.
I don't know who the Brian Harsin of general managers is, but yeah,
in house. You end up hiring from within, and that just doesn't help you because and maybe those guys were like, yeah, I tried to tell J-Rob to do this and he didn't do it. I mean, that's what I'd be saying. If I were trying to get it, I tried to tell him, he didn't want it, he didn't listen. Anyway.
Yeah. Disavow. Get as far from that as possible. Yeah.
There you go.
Because that's the only shot you're going to have, I would like to think.
Sure. Anyway, Titans need to hire a GM. They don't need to go get a quarterback. So that's where we're at. That's all I'm saying.
That's where we're at. Yeah.
We'll take a break. Jeff Drummond of Cats Illustrated will join us right after this. So y'all stick around on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best-looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here on this Friday edition as we get you ready for the weekend of sports ahead, including an 11 a.m. college basketball big game in the SEC as Tennessee welcomes in Kentucky on ESPN. And Kentucky on a bit of a slide. Tennessee ranked 5th in the country. Usually, this matchup is flipped. And recently, in that flipped matchup, Tennessee has gotten the better of Kentucky more times than not. So, the question is, can Kentucky flip the script and put 5th-ranked Tennessee on their back Saturday? Well, we'll find out tomorrow, but let's go ahead and ask somebody who knows a little bit about those Cats. That's Jeff Drummond. Jeff, how are you?
Hey, guys. Doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on today.
Hey, thanks for coming on with us, Jeff. As Chris mentioned, Kentucky on a bit of a struggle bus these days, coming off back-to-back losses at Alabama and to visiting South Carolina, the latter 71-68 earlier this week, and not exactly an expected outcome at Rupp Arena, but lost 3 of their last 5 now. 3 3 or 4 in Southeastern Conference play. And I don't know, Jeff, is there one single issue regarding this team, or what exactly do you see with them that's led them to 1-3 in league
That's
play?
a really good question, because right now nobody knows or understands what's going on here. The fan base obviously up in arms. You had the 26-point loss at Bama, which is somewhat understandable, even though Kentucky's not used to taking one on the chin quite like that. People here understand basketball and know Alabama is really good, maybe one of the top 4 teams in the country, and they put it on them. But Tuesday night, they come back home and follow that up with what's being described as the worst Southeastern Conference loss in program history. You know, they've been playing over 100 years of basketball here, and they lost to the worst team in the league and never had to lead in Rupp Arena. Did not hold a lead in that game. Fell behind by 15 in the first half. And you know the fan base is sitting there watching that game going, this team just lost by 43 to the next team. We got to go play. And they're just, you know, I try to describe it to people that the fan base, Kentucky fan base, expects to win every game they play. That is no exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
But they're realistic in knowing that that's not going to happen. This is the first game in my lifetime coming up Saturday where I can honestly say the fan base has no expectation, no chance to win that game in Thompson Bowling Arena.
Well, having followed Tennessee basketball for a pretty good while, that's exactly the type situation that UT fans dread.
BVS, baby. Battered Vol syndrome is real.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jeff, one of the something that took place during that Tuesday night game really kind of concerned me, and I'm hoping you can walk me through it. Apparently, there was a fan in the stands holding a sign that says, "Please go to Texas." And that fan was removed from his seat at Rupp Arena. Now, was that actually engineered by the coach, or did someone else see that and take matters into their own hands? From what you know, how did that come about?
Well, there's a lot of conflicting info along the way in this, but the basics I think everybody has come to agree with to a certain extent. There are a group of ushers who help control the crowd as far as getting them in their seats and making sure everybody gets in and out properly, called the Committee 101, volunteer guys who have been around the program for a long time. They call them the blue coats here. If you ever see a Kentucky game or go to a Kentucky game, you'll see all these guys in blue, royal blue blazers, and they're just there to help the fans get where they need to be. And apparently this guy was in the lower arena. He was on kind of behind the Kentucky bench side, so relatively close to the team, and he had the sign that said, "Please go to Texas." Ordinarily, a sign like that wouldn't be a problem, but apparently the fans around him were starting to get frustrated because, you know, he's holding up this poster board size sign during the game, and it's difficult to see if somebody's doing that a lot. So they requested that he put it away, and then I think they got the ushers involved and said, "Can you take this away?" He said, "I won't give up my sign, but I'll leave the arena if you want me to." But he was keeping that sign. He put a lot of work in that Sharpie and that poster board. And as he was walking out, they tried to take it from him again, and then it kind of got a little bit physical. Nothing serious, but the usher put his hands on him, and to a lot of people, that's kind of viewed as a no-no, and people are really standing up for this fan now and saying, you had no business doing that. You could ask him to put the sign down, or, you know, put it away, or even hold it for the remainder of the game, but you shouldn't be, you know, roughhousing him or throwing him out of the game for it. It didn't have any vulgarity. It wasn't all that bad. You know, it expressed the sentiment that a lot of people have right now.
And no doubt. I guess my question, though, was to clarify, did John Calipari have anything to do with his removal?
I don't believe so. I would be 99% sure that he wasn't even aware that that sign existed. He's so focused in most times on his guys and the game. I doubt he even knew.
That's what I would really like to believe.
Yeah.
That he's got bigger and better things to be concerned with.
Listen, this guy goes in any arena he goes into, he's called things that make that sign look like Candyland. He's taken it and he almost invites it. He likes, and one of the odd things about this season is he's kind of been backed into a corner, his back's against the wall, and that's when you typically get the fighting John Calipari that's the best version of himself as a coach. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that he was aware of that and had anything to do with it. But UK is kind of hypersensitive to some of those things at times.
Jeff Drummond of Cats Illustrated joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Jeff, is what's going on with Kentucky, and again, I know that any theory is just speculation, but is this the accumulation of Calipari's recruiting philosophy with the one and done guys and that kind of thing? Has that eventually caught up?
Well, I think there's a number of factors there. It's kind of multi-layered. The one and done thing has always kind of frustrated the fans around here, even though they kind of tolerated it when they were producing, undefeated teams going to the Final Four and that type of thing. But as the results started slipping, people's frustration with the one and done got even more and more frustrated. And what they've seen in recent years is guys that really didn't have a major impact at the college level or get Kentucky to the promised land, at least a Final Four, if not a championship, are moving on to the NBA after 1 year here. And that kind of leaves the fans saying, what are we doing? We're not exactly achieving the results we want on the court, and we're not developing experience and depth for the future. And it feels like this cycle where it just, it all starts all over again from 1 year to the next.
Jeff, I follow a couple of pretty diehard Kentucky fans, one in particular on Twitter, and he's retweeting a lot of other Kentucky fans a lot of times. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what at least like-minded Kentucky fans think when it comes to the leadership of not only the basketball program, but the athletic department as a whole currently right now. Obviously, Kyle Tucker had a pretty damning story out on The Athletic, I believe, here recently. But my question is, with leadership where it is from the top down, you would feel like Oscar Tshiebwe is the leader of this basketball team. Rumors circulating that there may be some dissension among the players. If there is, who cleans that up at this point? And first of all, is there any dissension that you've seen?
Well, there are hints of it. And just let me say that going back to the beginning of time with Kentucky basketball, anytime they don't perform to the standards that the fans expect a Kentucky basketball team, there's always something going on in the locker room.
Gotcha. Okay.
Guys are fighting over a girl. There was a fight in practice the other day. That's been said about every Kentucky team that lost, 9 or 10 games in a season that I've ever covered.
Gotcha.
I was kind of shrugging that off this season, saying this is the same old, same old. But I'm starting to come around to thinking that there's something going on that we don't know about. And I don't know if it's player dissension or something going on between the players and the coaches. But the one thing that stands out more than anything is there's no leader on this team. Oscar, even though he was the National Player of the Year last season, is not really a leadership guy. He's kind of a lunch pail. I go do my thing, hard work, grab rebounds. They need someone else to be that guy to grab them, by the jersey and pull them in and say, hey, listen, this is not acceptable. And they just don't have that guy. The only guy on this team that I say is close to an alpha, which, for a quarter of a century, Kentucky's had at least one alpha out there, even on its bad teams. And the closest guy they have to it on this team is Severe Wheeler. And he is challenged by his physical stature and his skill set. The leader can't be a guy that struggles to shoot as much as Severe does, even though he tries his hardest and plays hard. So they're kind of like this ship without a rudder out there, and there's no captain on that ship either.
That certainly doesn't bode well for Saturday. I mean, you're talking about the number 5 team in the country. You're talking about Chris Lofton Day. You're talking about a lot of things that would certainly point to it's not going to be a good day for Big Blue Nation.
No, I mean, they asked me to turn in my pregame prediction earlier today and some thoughts on the matchup. And one of the questions was, what would it take for Kentucky to win? And I just kind of laughed at first because I don't even think it's a serious consideration.
For Rick Barnes not to show up?
Well,
for Chris Lofton to dress out for Kentucky.
About 20 years too late. But I think it would take the best version of this Kentucky team, and we've only seen little flashes of that all season. And certainly not for an entire game. We haven't. We've seen a 5 or 10 minute stretch. And it would take Tennessee on a really bad kind of off day. And I don't know what an off day is for a team that locks people down defensively like they do. I mean,
right.
they could stink Saturday shooting the basketball and still have a really good chance to win this.
Just defense travels. Doesn't matter.
The irony at home there, I think Rick Barnes has built a Calipari team. This is the kind of team in the Tennessee uniforms that Kentucky and Cal has had back to Memphis, back to UMass. They are built exactly like his teams used to play. And a lot of the fans are like, where is this part of, Coach Cal gone? Have they put so much into this one and done thing and getting the so-called superstars and the elite recruits that they have forgotten that they need guys, they need some dogs out there, some guys that'll fight. Like Oscar said, the comments about dissension on the team and that kind of, he was begging and pleading for his teammates to go out there and at least fight. And if they wouldn't, he said, put in a walk-on, put in somebody that's willing to fight.
Jeff Drummond of Cats Illustrated here with us on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Jeff, appreciate you taking some time with us. It is certainly it's going to be a good basketball game just because these two teams rarely disappoint when it comes to the hardwood. So we at least hope for a good basketball game on Saturday at 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time on ESPN.
Maybe the rivalry will bring something out in this one and make it more interesting than I believe. But this thing could get ugly. I think it's going to be a good day for Tennessee either way.
Well, I think UT fans hope you're right, Jeff. So we'll see what happens. But again, appreciate you spending some time with us, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime.
All right.
All right. We'll take a short break. We're going to make our Super Bowl picks, but also there's a couple of short, small things we want to get to in the college football world just real quick. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
Young and Maurice Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Station presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Mo, couple things. Tennessee quarterback Taven Jackson has entered the transfer portal. Looks like, what this says to me, Mo, is that Nico came in and grasped everything pretty quickly, showed that he was clearly the class of the backup quarterbacks going into spring practice. And look, good luck to Taven, because he's going to be really good somewhere. He just, just happens to be at a place that ironically has a lot of really good quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they have a lot of good quarterbacks, because here's the deal. With Taven Jackson transferring out, you've got two guys. You've got Joe Milton, you've got Nico, and then you've got a transfer from Central Florida, and you've got Heath Schuler's son. And so you're kind of lacking at the number 3 all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, you rarely think you'd have to get to number 3, but you'd never know. But how many FBS teams in this world have a number 3 the level of a Taven Jackson? 0.
Yeah.
There's 120 quarterbacks in the transfer portal. If we need one, we can go get one.
Yeah, but and it's interesting that you say that, because Zach Reagan from A to Z Sports has an article up saying that, most of those guys in the portal are looking for situations where they can go and compete for the starting role at the very least. I mean, none of those 120, or very few of those 120, is looking for a situation where they can go in and be the number 3 guy. So it's
until July rolls around.
And they're still in the portal.
And you've got to find some way to pay for school the next semester.
If you're going, I tell you what, Chris, I thought I had an interesting thought as I was reading that article, and this will be near and dear to your green and gold heart. Former Maryville standout Dylan Hopkins went into the transfer portal yesterday from UAB.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He, as he was very up and down. Loved the kid, a lot of heart. Played really well at times.
4,700 yards for his career, right? With 47
played really well at times, and he played super in the Bahamas Bowl. But also had some times where he just, it felt like if he started really well, is kind of one of those like hot shooters. If the first one drops, he's going to be really good all night long. But if the first one, rims out, it could be a long day. That's the kind of career he had. And it certainly would make a lot of sense for him to finish his career in Tennessee if that's what he's looking to do. So,
right.
I think it's a very, very possible option. And again, I mean, he's certainly shown flashes of being really good. So certainly a serviceable third string guy. Also, Pete Golden reportedly headed to Ole Miss. Alabama defensive coordinator, who Alabama fans have been trying to get to leave for 3 years now, is going to take his talents to Oxford. And here's the thing, even if he's not been great for Alabama, he will be a massive upgrade for Ole Miss. They've been terrible. So big win for Lane Kiffin, I think, and for Alabama maybe. I mean, who knows?
Well, you think Derek Mason to Alabama.
Shoot. Hey, I'll tell you what. If they come calling, his sabbatical will be over.
It'll be short. Huh?
And look, and I wouldn't blame him, and nobody else would either. Nobody else would either, unless yesterday, before the announcement of the sabbatical, Nick Saban says, "Hey Derek, I hear that going to Ole Miss. He's got an offer on the table. If in the event that you're available."
Yeah, let me make myself available.
Hey, make that happen.
There you go. We might be out front on a couple of things. Let's kind of mark this.
Yes.
So that if we decide to go back and look for it later, we can find it.
Yeah, mark this so we don't have to spend all night looking for it, Justin.
Yeah, I got you.
And not.
Justin, do you have an NFL playoff bracket that we can look at?
I'll look one up right now.
All right. Well, I've got it in front of me, but I want to throw it up there if we can. And because we do have, what is it? What Super Bowl is this? This 51?
It's more than that, isn't it?
I don't even know.
I don't know. 52.
52. Okay.
Wait a minute. Whoa. No. Stop. My Roman numeral reading escapes me. LVI. It's 57. There we go.
Yeah, 57. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm looking at, Justin. So, all
This one's
right.
already out, but just
First
ignore
things first. I'm the realist. Let's pick these games from first round games just real quick. Give me a winner. We'll start with the first game, which is Seattle and San Francisco.
Okay, who goes first?
I'm gonna go San Francisco just on the strength of what Mike Dugar had to say to us yesterday.
Okay. I'm also going to go 49ers as well.
I'm pretty sure I'm going them as well. Purdy.
All right. Stay in the NFC. Let's go up at New York and Minnesota. I'm going to go Giants here. They really impressed me in week one, and they've not been. And Saquon Barkley's really good. So
Justin Jefferson's too much of a dog to let that happen. I'm going Vikings.
I agree with JK. I think that Minnesota passing game is too much, and then Dalvin Cook on top. Yeah. Give me the Vikings.
Cowboys Bucks. I'm gonna go boys.
You're going
Even though
boys?
I don't want to. First playoff win in forever.
Man, I just can't do it. I'm going Bucks. I think it's a close game though. I think it's a last play type game.
You know what? The Cowboys have taken a lot of flack for a long time. I think they're going to exercise some demons at Robert James Stadium. Some demons.
Remix.
Can y'all still hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear nuts.
Wicca, what?
Weird.
Some
You can hear me. You
some
can hear me. You
demons,
can hear me. Yeah.
demons, some
Can y'all hear me?
demons. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
That was weird.
All right. We got 90,
That was weird. I'm going Dallas.
90 seconds. Chargers, Jaguars. I've got the Jags.
Oh God, Chargers, please.
Once again, I agree with Justin.
Yeah, anything other than that's.
All right. Bengals, Ravens. I'm going to go with the Bees. I got Bengals.
I've got Cincinnati as well.
Me too. Tyler Huntley does not get it done.
Bills, Dolphins. Everybody's got Bills, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
For too many reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, your Super Bowl, folks. Your picks. Man, I really like this guy's bracket. I was going to go Eagles myself, but I was going to go Eagles Chiefs.
I think the Eagles are the classic rest or rust. They get in trouble by resting, and the 49ers and Bills make it to the final there.
I'm going to split the difference between both of you. I'm going Buffalo, Philly.
Nice.
All right, who's your winner?
Oh, mine's Buffalo.
Same.
I got Kansas City.
Nice.
All right, that's going to do it for our weekend show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint, back on Monday at 2 o'clock. I'm Chris Yow, Justin Kulik, Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend.